Hello students, good morning to all of you. Welcome back to my online coaching class. Today I will present the second class of grade 10. In the previous class I have discussed about the chemical reactions and equations, and today I will discuss about different types of chemical reactions. So how many types of chemical reactions are there? There are 5 types of chemical reaction is there. First one is combination reaction. Second one is decomposition reaction. Third one is displacement reaction. Fourth one is double displacement reaction. And the fifth and last one is oxidation and reduction reaction, which is also called redox reaction. Now first of all, I will discuss about the combination reaction. From the name we can easily understood that the there is some combination of two things or more things, two or more things. So there will be more than one reactants which will combine to form a single product. This type of reaction is called combination reaction. So what will be the definition? Now the reaction in which two or more reactant combine to form a single product is called combination reaction. And from the formula we can easily see that there are two reactant A and B. Individually they react with each other to form a single compound which is AB, and in the picture you can see that at one example of formation of water molecule from hydrogen and oxygen. Here the black balls are sign of hydrogen molecule, two hydrogen molecule is there, and one blue color ball, that is oxygen molecule is there, and these two molecule combine to form two different water molecule. So this type of reactions are called combination reaction. Now examples of combination reaction. First one is the formation of slaked lime. It is a common example when quicklime, that is calcium oxide, is react with water to form slaked lime, that is calcium hydroxide. Here we can see that calcium oxide and water, two different reactant, react with each other to form a single product, that is calcium hydroxide. Along with some heat is generated in this reaction, and this reaction can be seen in the picture also. In a beaker the calcium oxide and water is taken, and when it reacts it will form calcium hydroxide, white color calcium hydroxide. Now the second example of combination reaction is formation of hydrogen iodide. Here also hydrogen gas and iodide gas, both the reactant reacts with each other to form a single compound, that is hydrogen iodide. Here the difference is heat is absorbed. And the third example, third and some more example is burning of coal. Here carbon reacts with oxygen to form carbon dioxide. And the fifth one, that is formation of water. I have shown in the picture that hydrogen and oxygen reacts with each other to form water. And the last one, that is the formation of table salt, which is also a common example. We all take common salt in with our food items. So it is prepared by the reaction between sodium and chlorine to form NaCl. In all this reaction we can see that two reactants react with each other and combined with each other to form a single product. So this type of reactions are called combination reaction. Now we can we can see that for better knowledge, the first reaction, it is the exothermic reaction. Why it is exothermic? Because heat is generated in this reaction. So the reaction where heat is generated is called exothermic reaction, heat is generated. And the second one, the reaction is endothermic reaction, because here heat is absorbed. So these two reactions are different in nature. First one is heat generating reaction, that is exothermic reaction, and second one is heat absorbing reaction, that is endothermic reaction. Now there is an practical use of slaked lime which have been prepared in the first reaction between quicklime and water. It forms slaked lime calcium hydroxide. It is used for whitewashing of walls. We know that after cementing of walls, we used to whitewash the walls. Here the calcium hydroxide or slaked lime is used. This slaked lime solution in water is whitewashed, and when after some days it reacts with the carbon dioxide present in air to form calcium carbonate and water. This calcium carbonate formed is a shiny white compound which after removing H2O or after drying it remains glowing white, and the whitewashing of walls is carried out in this way. This is the practical use of slaked lime. Now I will discuss about the second reaction, that is decomposition reaction. From the name we can make an idea that there is some decomposition, means some compound will be break down to two or more compounds, that is decomposed. The definition is the reaction in which a compound splits or break down into two or more substances is called decomposition reaction. We can see from the formula that A is a molecule which reacts or decompose to different compounds B and C. So this reaction is called decomposition reaction. Now examples. In examples, we can say that decomposition reaction takes place with different condition. The first condition is thermal decomposition. That means the decomposition process takes place by heating process, that is called thermal decomposition process. And these are the examples of thermal decomposition process. First one is the common example and most important example, that is the green color iron sulfate or ferrous sulfate crystal. When heated, it will form brown color ferric oxide solid along with some pungent smelling sulfur dioxide and sulfur trioxide gases is evolved. And second one is the heating of limestone, that is calcium carbonate. When it is heated, it will form to different compound, or it is decomposed to different compound, quicklime calcium oxide and carbon dioxide gas. And the third one also an important example of thermal decomposition process. Here lead nitrate solid is heated to form lead oxide and nitrogen dioxide gas and oxygen gas. Here the characteristics gas is nitrogen dioxide. It is brown color gas. So when lead nitrate is heated, a brown color nitrogen dioxide gas is evolved. So there may be some question that what will be the thermal decomposition of lead nitrate, and what will be the thermal decomposition, or when it is heated ferrous sulfate crystal, what will happen. This type of question may come in your exam. This is the procedure of thermal decomposition process. Here one Bunsen burner is lighted and the solid material is taken in a test tube and it is heated on the flame of the Bunsen burner to carry out the thermal decomposition process. Now second condition of decomposition process is electrolytic decomposition process. This decomposition process is carried out by electricity, and the example of it is H2O. When electricity is passed in water, it will divided or it will decompose to hydrogen gas and oxygen gas, and this is the experimental procedure. Here water is taken and two electrode is placed and it is connected with electricity or external battery to form hydrogen gas and oxygen gas. And third condition of decomposition process is photolytic decomposition. It is the decomposition process carried out by light. It may be sunlight or other light source. And the example is when silver chloride or silver bromide salt is kept in sunlight, it will react to form or to decompose to silver and chlorine gas, or if it is taken silver bromide, it will decompose to silver and bromine gas. And this is the experimental procedure. Here in a china dish, the silver chloride or silver bromide materials is taken and it is kept on sunlight, and sunlight comes and fall on the compound, and it will react and decomposed to form solid sulfur, and chlorine gas is evolved. So this is all about decomposition reaction. Now third reaction is displacement reaction. From the name we can make an idea that some material is displaced or replaced. The definition is the reaction in which more reactive element displaces less reactive elements from its solution is called displacement reaction. That means in a reaction there will be two reactant, one will be more reactive and other one will be less reactive. So more reactive element will replace or displace some material or some atoms or some groups from this compound to form two different compound. So this displacement is called displacement reaction. We can see from the example or pictorial diagram that there are two different molecules A and BC. These two molecules reacts with each other, and A is more reactive than B, so A will displace the C molecule from BC to form AC, and B will remain as BC will be converted to B, removing C. So here C is displaced from BC and it will connected to A. So this type of reaction is called displacement reaction. Now the examples of displacement reaction is iron. When react with copper sulfate solution, it will form iron sulfate and copper. This is the experimental procedure. Here in a test tube, copper sulfate solution, blue color copper sulfate solution is taken, and two iron nails are dipped in the copper sulfate solution, and what will happen after some time, it will react with each other and it will form, there will be a copper deposition of the iron nail. You can see that the iron nail is getting brown colored, that means there is a copper deposition, and the solution become blue to light green, that means the blue color copper sulfate solution is converted to light green color iron sulfate solution. So you can see that the reaction is taking place, and here the iron material is more reactive, it will displace the sulfate molecule from copper sulfate to form iron sulfate. So sulfate is displaced from copper sulfate, that is the displacement reaction. Now one more example is when zinc is react with copper sulfate, it will form zinc sulfate and copper. Here also zinc is more reactive than copper, so zinc replace or displace the sulfate from copper sulfate to form zinc sulfate, and copper sulfate remove its sulfate to form metallic copper. And one more example is lead. When react with copper chloride, it will be converted to lead chloride and copper. Here also lead is more reactive than copper, so lead will displace the chlorine from copper chloride to form lead chloride and copper. Now how you can know that which one is more reactive and which one is less reactive? For this there is an activity series, reactivity series. From this series you can see that from top to bottom the reactivity decreases, that means the upper side element or metals or groups are more reactive and the lower side elements are less reactive. So from this first example you can see that there are two metals, iron and copper. You can see the position of iron and copper. This is the position of copper, it is in downside, and this is the position of iron, it is in upside. So iron is upside, that means it is more reactive than copper, so iron will displace the sulfate from copper sulfate. And in the second one, zinc is in the upper side and copper is in the downside, so zinc is more reactive than copper. And in third one, the lead also is more reactive than copper because it is in upside of copper. So from this reactivity series you can easily get idea about the reactivity of the different elements. Now I will go to the next reaction, that is double displacement reaction. From the name you can get an idea that here two different displacement reactions will be happening. That means in the previous reaction one displacement is occurred, here the two different displacement will be taking place. So the definition is the reaction in which two ionic compounds react to form two other compounds by mutual exchange of atoms or groups is called double displacement reaction. That means mutual exchange, that means one molecule will exchange one of its part to others, and other molecule also exchange one of its part to this molecule. That means there will be two displacement occurring in the same time. That's why it is called double displacement reaction. You can clear your idea from the picture. Here AB and CD, two different molecule is there. Here A and B are connected, and in CD C and D are connected. When they react, A will exchange its B molecule with C, and CD it will exchange its D molecule with AB, and it will form AD and BC. So B and D is mutually exchanged among itself. That's why this type of reaction, two displacement reaction is taking place. That's why it is called double displacement reaction. Now you can see the example is when sodium sulfate react with barium chloride, it will form barium sulfate and sodium chloride. Here two different displacement is taking place. You can see the experiment. In one test tube sodium sulfate solution is taken, and in another test tube barium chloride solution is taken, and when it is reacting, after reaction it will form solid barium sulfate which is not soluble, and it will remain as precipitate at the bottom side of the test tube. So you can see that the displacement, different displacement, here you can see from the arrow that sodium is attached with chlorine by displacing sulfate. That is one displacement, and the another displacement is barium displaces chlorine to attach with sulfate to form barium sulfate. So there are two displacement. One is sodium sulfate displacing sulfate with chlorine, and barium chloride displacing chlorine with sulfate. So there are two displacement. That's why it is called double displacement reaction. One more example is lead nitrate. When react with potassium iodide, it will form lead iodide and potassium nitrate. Here also nitrate and iodide are mutually exchanged. That means double displacement is taking place. And one more example is sodium chloride. When react with silver nitrate, it will form silver chloride and sodium nitrate. Here also the mutual exchange between chlorine and nitrate is taking place. So these type of reactions are called double displacement reaction. And here one more thing you should know, that in the first reaction I have told that barium sulfate is insoluble in the solution. That's why it remain as solid substance at the bottom side, and it remain precipitate. So this type of reaction where precipitate comes is called precipitation reaction. The reaction which produces a precipitate, that is insoluble solid, is called precipitation reaction. So now I will discuss about the next reaction, that is next reaction which is the last type of reaction, that is oxidation reduction reaction. This reaction is also called redox reduction oxidation. So from the name it is seen that there will be some oxidation process and there will be some reduction process. Now the question will come that what is oxidation and what is reduction. Now what is oxidation? The addition of oxygen or removal of hydrogen is called oxidation process, and the reverse case, the addition of hydrogen and removal of oxygen is called reduction process. So from example you can get an idea about the oxidation, that is carbon is reacting with oxygen, that is oxygen is added with carbon to form carbon dioxide. So this is an oxidation process. The second example is H2S plus Cl2 HCl plus S. Here H2S removes hydrogen to form sulfur, that is the procedure of reduction, and chlorine that is the procedure of oxidation, because hydrogen is removed and the chlorine molecule attached hydrogen from H2S to form HCl. So addition of hydrogen is taking place with chlorine, that is the reduction process. So oxidation and reduction both are taking place. And the third example is copper oxide. When reacts with hydrogen, it is forming copper and H2. Here the oxidation and reduction both are taking place. In copper oxide removes oxygen from copper oxide to copper, so it is a procedure of reduction, and hydrogen attached oxygen from copper oxide, so it is the procedure of oxidation to form H2O. So here both the reaction oxidation and reduction is taking place. So this type of reaction where oxidation and reduction both are taking place is simultaneously is called reduction oxidation or oxidation reduction reaction, and it is also called redox reaction. Now among these two material is reacting, one is reducing and another one is oxidizing. So what is oxidizing agent? The material or substance which oxidizes others and get itself reduced is called oxidizing agent. So here we can see that copper oxide oxidizes H2 to form H2O and get reduced. So copper oxide is here is an oxidizing agent. Some more example of oxidizing agent is oxygen, fluorine, chlorine, nitric acid, potassium permanganate, potassium dichromate. They all are oxidizing agent. Another one is reducing agent. The substance which cause reduction or which reduce others and get itself oxidized is an reducing agent. The example is hydrogen, carbon, sodium, magnesium, hydrogen sulfide, etc. And in this reaction we can see that hydrogen get itself oxidized and it reduces copper oxide. So hydrogen is an reducing agent. So this is all about 5 different types of reaction. Now I will discuss about some effect of oxidation process in everyday life. The first one is corrosion. Do you know corrosion? The corrosion is the process of slow destruction of metal made materials or the surface of metal made materials due to the exposure of open atmosphere. Means the aerial oxygen, aerial moisture or other gases will react with the metal surface and the surface will distracted or corroded. This phenomena is called corrosion. What are the examples? The first one is formation of green coating of copper and brass. If the copper or brass material is kept in the open atmosphere for a long time, there will be a green coating. Why it is happening? Now, the copper surface will react with oxygen, water and carbon dioxide present in air to form copper hydroxide and copper carbonate, and a green color coating is forming. So this is an example of corrosion. The second example is dullness and loss of shine of aluminum surface. If aluminum materials is kept in open atmosphere, it will form aluminum oxide by the reaction with oxygen present in the air, and it will lose its shyness. And the third example is tarnishing of silver when exposed to H2S gas. When silver made ring in your finger is exposed to H2S gas, it will react with the H2S gas to form black color silver sulfide, and it will remain or it will lose its silver shyness and it will become blackish color. So it is an example of corrosion also. And the last and most important and most common example of corrosion is rusting of iron. You all know about the rusting of iron. If an iron material is kept in open atmosphere, it will react with oxygen and water present in the air to form hydrated iron oxide, which is called rust. You can see the reaction 4Fe plus 3O2 plus XH2O, it will form iron oxide Fe2O3 along with XH2 hydrated iron oxide, which is called rust. So this is all about corrosion. And one more effect of oxidation in everyday life is rancidity. What is rancidity? If you keep oil or fat material or the food containing oil or fat for for 2-3 days in open atmosphere, then it will be stinking smelling or foul smelling, and there will be a sour taste. This incident is called rancidity. The definition is the oxidative destruction or deterioration of oils and fats leading to stinking smelling and tasting like rank stale fat is known as rancidity. So what will be the precaution to prevent rancidity? There will be some precautions or preventive for preventing rancidity. The first one is the keeping the food materials or food items containing oils and fats in refrigerator or in tight container. Second one is flashing of packets with nitrogen gas before sealing. When food packets are sealed, there will be some nitrogen gas flushing, because nitrogen gas is non-reactive. It will not allow the moisture and oxygen of air to come in contact with the food items. And the third and most important is using antioxidant, because the procedure is oxidation of air, that means oxygen present in the air, oxygen and moisture present in air, it will react. So if you use the synthetic antioxidant, some materials which will not allow the oxygen and air, moisture present in air to come in contact with the food items, it will remain same and it will not be affected. So in this way we can prevent the rancidity. This is all about this chapter, and in the next class I will discuss about the second chapter, that is acid, bases and salts. Thank you all of you. Meet you soon in the next class.